Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I am your producer, Jeremiah Long, a lifelong Vols fan, and joining me is our host on Monday, a man who just recently got to walk across the stage for his graduation, even though his graduation technically should have been back in May. But because of this amazing and exciting year full of twists and turns and unexpected outcomes, we've got our man himself who finally graduated properly this weekend, Logan Landers. How's it going, Mr. Landers?
I'm doing great, Jeremiah. Relieved to finally walk the stage. We got our diplomas months ago, our official diploma. So I've been graduated, but it's official now. We walked the stage. We got we got to throw our caps in the air, and we're official alumni now. So we can go back to our school with open arms whenever we want to watch a college football game and enjoy a good experience there. Overall, it was a great time at the graduation. I'm happy to finally be on with college officially now and ready to move on. But look, I'm gonna still keep talking about college football now. We got this game here with the Vols and the Commodores. So even though I'm graduated from college, doesn't mean I'm gonna get rid of the college football bug. So I'm gonna still keep talking about that with you and with the rest of the crew for many years to come.
Yes, absolutely. And we do have an exciting game, especially for me. It's the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Vanderbilt Commodores. And this is a pretty awesome game for me because it's just a game that I've seen played, my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. Generally, Tennessee tends to have the upper hand. This particular season, I think it could be anybody's game just because my lovely Vols, I love them to the depths from the top to the bottom. But Pruitt and the Vols have had a very inconsistent season, usually playing really two strong quarters of football and two quarters where you're just not sure what's going on. Sometimes those are the first two quarters. Sometimes they're the last. Sometimes it's just two random quarters where they just really get it together and you see like the clarity of day and they run it right down the middle. They throw it long. They do a great job. But then the rest of the time it's missed assignments, strange configurations, some interesting calls from the coaching staff. All just built around an idea of trying to get something going. And that's what I see with Tennessee. Sometimes they're just like, okay, this isn't working, let's try this. And it's just not quite worked out quite yet. But what I do love seeing from the Vols is the passion and the fact that you've got a young team coming up underneath the current team that really could be the one that really moves things along and gets us back into true SEC contention. When you've got Vanderbilt on the other side, a team that struggles year over year this is a team that has to play SEC teams every single year, so they're never going to get a break. We got to see the first female player in a D1, right?
Yep, D1. Yep.
In a D1 game. She hit that squib kick just perfectly. I know there's a lot of people that don't know that much about football were like, what did she just do? But that was exactly what she was supposed to do. So that was a great highlight. But I'll let you talk a little more. Logan, break it down for us. Tell us more about the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Commodores. And what does Tennessee or Vanderbilt need to do to really come away in this game?
Yeah, let's get it right into it. Before I start, let me just say shout out to Sarah Fuller, who was the kicker for Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago. Made history. So, that's very hard to do now, especially in football. First female kicker, I believe, D1, like I said, D1 Power 5 school for Vanderbilt. So that was a good feel-good moment for all the young girls and all the females watching around the college football world to see, get some representation on the field. Because we've seen, like in movies, Jeremiah, where that's always like the big climax there. It's like, oh, okay, the females finally going to get in the game because the male chauvinist head coach finally is going to let her in. But no, she's a good hard worker. She plays soccer for the team, women's soccer for the Commodores. So they knew that she had a heck of a leg on her. And I know people, like you said, people who are football savvy were kind of getting on her for the kick, but She did what she needed to do. She, like I said, it was a squib kick. She kept it inbounds, which is the most important part. And she didn't get any return yardage on it either, which is something that, it's pretty hard to do. So overall, just a fantastic moment all in all, and a great kick by Sarah. Hopefully we get to see her again. I know she was on the roster this past week when Vanderbilt was supposed to face the Bulldogs, but unfortunately, like we just said in our Georgia preview, that game was canceled because of COVID. So we'll see if she is on the roster against the Vols, and we'll see if she can get in. It'll be interesting to see. And something to look forward to, just another added storyline. But let's get into this game here. First, I'm going to talk about Tennessee Volunteers, who Jeremiah, unfortunately, they've dropped 6 straight after coming out the gate strong. They've dropped quite a few. But we knew that this game was going to be tough. They played Florida, who's the 6th ranked team in the country, and he's got Kyle Trask, who's looking like he's going to be, like I said, him and Mac Jones are looking like Heisman winners right now. They're right next to each other, battling week after week. And I mean, honestly, that game they lost 31-19. So they did put up some points, but it just wasn't enough for that high-powered, strong Florida offense. Kyle Trask, 35 of 49, 433 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So he's had a phenomenal season. And my God, for me, he's my Heisman winner. I know Mac Jones has also had a very good year, but just the absolute sheer amount, like the numbers that Trask has put up, has been just astronomical here. I mean, every week we just see him going out and putting in work. I mean, he's got 38 touchdowns on the season with only 3 interceptions. So I think in an all-SEC schedule also, mind you, so that he's playing high-profile teams. He's playing the Alabamas and the Georgias and everyone like that. And he's shown that he can throw the ball with the best of them in the NCAA, let alone in his conference. So Trask has been absolutely lights out this whole season. He's my Heisman personally. But Mac Jones has also had a very good year. It's going to be interesting to see how these next 2 weeks pan out for these teams. So we'll see if Florida can get another Heisman on their roster. We'll see. But it's not just Kyle Trask doing all the work. He's also got a good group behind him, especially in the receiving core. Kyle Pitts, who's his main number 1 receiver, has been also very dominant this year. Of course, when you have a great quarterback, you got to have that number 1 receiver, and that's Kyle Pitts for you guys. He's got 7 catches, 128 yards against the Tennessee Volunteers this past week. Didn't get a touchdown, unfortunately, but just his presence is always felt. Whenever you always see that big number 1 receiver, you're always going to want to double team him. You're always going to have your eyes on him. It doesn't matter where he's at, but they always just seem to get the better edge against the D-backs and always seem to get those catches, even though you're doing your hardest, you're trying your best to cover him. They just always manage to kind of squeak by and get those catches. And Kyle Pitts has also had a tremendous season, like I said. Him and Trask are one of the best 1-2 combos in just college football, let alone the SEC. I mean, Pitts has been absolutely balling out this season. He's got 641 yards and 11 touchdowns. So he's accounted for 11 of those. I think it was 38 touchdowns that Trask has thrown. So that's your main number 1 guy. But there's also a bunch of other great receivers at Florida. It's just Pitts is number 1. You also got Kadarius Toney, who had a touchdown against the Commodores, 108 yards. Jacob Copeland as well had a touchdown. But the main guy who had the man who had the most touchdowns against this Tennessee team was Trevon Grimes, who had 2 touchdowns, 55 yards on 6 catches. So overall, man, the receiving core and the quarterback play for Florida was just too overpowering for Tennessee. But let's talk about Tennessee now. They've got a situation here because, as we've seen, Garantano was benched against Florida. He did not start. So the Vols finally decided, all right, let's start Harrison Bailey. Let's see if he can do something against, a high-profile team. And, I mean, he did okay. He was 14 of 21 with a touchdown, 111 yards. They also had JT Schrute being there for also – they were kind of a dual quarterback situation there. Schrute had 12 of 14, 121 yards and a touchdown. That was kind of towards more the end of the game. They also had Brian Maurer come in for a snap. And they had Paxton Brooks as well. So they had four quarterbacks in total be under center the whole game. Right. So they're still trying to get something figured out there in Tennessee. But like we said, we do believe that Harrison Bailey is the future of this Vols team. It's just he's got to get some playing time under his belt to really get that chemistry, which is oh so important in college football. Also, JT Schrute, I mean, he did solid for when he came in. But I think that him and I think a lot of the Vols fans know that he's just kind of a placeholder before Bailey can get in there and really kind of claim that spot as his own while he gets comfortable against a lot of these teams. And I think this is going to be a good game for Harrison Bailey if he is still the starter, which I believe he will be. Because, I mean, Vanderbilt has not won a game this season. So what better way to get your feet wet and what better way to get some reps in and some big throws than, I guess, a team who hasn't won a game this season. So I'm expecting big things out of Harrison Bailey this game. But I'm also expecting big things out of the Tennessee rushing core. Ty Chandler and Eric Gray, both of those guys they weren't able to combine for 100 yards. Chandler had 49 yards and Gray had 47, and both of those guys ran 12 times. So they were just not able to get anything going against that Gators defense, which is also, like Georgia, been very good this season. But I think that the receiving core, the rushing core, and the passing game for Tennessee will finally get something clicking against this Vanderbilt team. Velus Jones, the junior, is going to have a good game. I believe he had 70 yards and a touchdown against the Gators. So anytime you can score a touchdown against the Florida Gators, you'll take it. Also, Eric Gray had a nice touchdown as well, 46 yards. So we'll have to see what this Vols offense can do because they've been down in the dumps for a few weeks now. They've not won a game in, I think, 6 in a row. So we'll have to see. But as for Vanderbilt, though, they've just had a rough go at it this whole season. They're like I said, they're 0-8. They recently fired their head coach, and so they're looking for an interim now. They're looking for someone to kind of right the ship of the program because I'm looking over here at their schedule and their just the scores for their games. And the closest games they've played, the first week of the season, they played Texas A&M, who's a top 10 team. They lost 17-12. That was a close game. Then other than that, they lost to Mississippi State 24-17. And the one where they could have got the win, but they were unfortunately not able to, was against Kentucky a few weeks ago in November. They lost 38-35. But after coming off of a loss last week to Missouri, where they lost 41-0, that's just a tough go at it. I mean, for Vanderbilt, you really just need to hope that everything can run smoothly. You're looking forward to it, and I mean, we'll have to see because, like I said, Vanderbilt was supposed to play Georgia this past week. That got canceled. So now they're playing Tennessee, and then they got to play Georgia the week after as a makeup game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Vanderbilt if they can get a win this season, or if they're just going to be winless. Which, I mean, you never want to see. It don't matter what team you want to watch. You always want to see a team get a win. It's always you never want to see them just be a giant goose egg, and whatever. Yeah. But it's just tough for them this season, man. I mean, they're playing the All SEC schedule, which is not helping them at all. And I mean, they got good pieces on their team. They got Ken Seals, who is their quarterback, who's thrown for almost 2,000 yards. They got Keon Henry Brooks, who's their running back, who's close to cracking that 500 plateau. And then Cam Johnson, if their wide receiver, has got 481 yards on the season. It's just they just have not been able to get something going. And it's just tough, I guess, this all SEC schedule when you're facing these big recruits. And Vanderbilt's not getting these 4-star recruits, these 5-star recruits like the Tennessees, like the Alabamas, like the Floridas, and all the upper echelon type of SEC teams. But, I mean, like I said, their best chance, I think, of getting a win was against that Kentucky team a couple weeks ago when they lost by 3 points, unfortunately. But overall, this game, I do think that the Vols will get this win. If Vanderbilt wants to keep this close and potentially pull off a massive upset, I believe, even though Tennessee is not doing that well, it'll still be a great win for the Commodores. They got to play perfect football. They can't give up any turnovers. They got to get turnovers. Hopefully they can rattle some of the confidence of Harrison Bailey if he's the one that is going to be starting, and then get some pressure to him, make some sacks, get some interceptions. We'll have to see. But overall, just my final thoughts on this game, I do think that Tennessee will get the win. They'll get back in the win column finally, and I know that you're going to be you're going to be rooting for the Vols on Saturday, hoping they can get that win that's been eluding them for weeks on end now. So yeah, I do think the Volunteers will get the win against Vanderbilt. I'll go by 2 scores. I'll keep it kind of close. I'll go by Tennessee will get the win by 2 touchdowns.
Well, let's sure hope so. Vandy wants to come away from this season with at least 1 win. They are eyeing a Vols team that has a potential to just not give it to them. They'll fight for it, but has a potential to still give them an opportunity to do this. In series history, Tennessee leads Vanderbilt 76-33-5. In the all over series. They've been playing this game since 1892.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Crazy. And the largest victory of one team over the other actually was Vanderbilt 76, Tennessee 0 in 1918.
Wow.
So if we take it all the way back to there's some rivalry and there's some hurt feelings and there's some people that wanting to get it going again. So unfortunately, like Tennessee doesn't have the perfect record against Vanderbilt. They have lost to them before.
Right.
Now, like I said, they lead the series 76-33-5. But they also lost to them in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So the Tennessee Vols need to come into this game to win, not just to play a team, not just to close out a season. COVID or not, they need to come in here firing on all cylinders. I think this would be an excellent chance to build an entire single game around Harrison Bailey, go for the win with Bailey as the main quarterback. If you need Stroud in there, then that's great. Stroud in there, but I think you try to let Harrison Bailey just carry it because win, lose, or draw, this is the only chance you're going to get to bring a freshman quarterback like that in on a season without the pressure of trying to, keep them in the playoffs or, get them to the bowl game or, win out the season. No one is going to be mad at them if they lose going down fighting with Harrison Bailey. Right. So that's what I want to see. And I want to see the Vols come away with this. I don't care if we scrape by it. I don't care if the score is 17-14. I am going to throw a score out there of 32-14 Tennessee. Okay. I am hoping that they hold close in the first half because I like them to come out for more of a nail biter in the second half, so they have to come away with it. Because if we're leading the Commodores coming into the second half, that's when everybody in Vol land starts getting worried to say, hey, but are they going to play in the second half or not?
Right.
So we have to see what that happens. So everybody watching out in Tennessee Vol land, whether it be on the Facebook groups, whether it be on Twitch, whether it be on YouTube, please let us know in the comments what you think the final score will be for Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. And also let us know, because I'm just wondering, what do you guys think? Will Harrison Bailey get to start this game? Will Harrison Bailey get to play the majority of this game? Or will they take a different direction to keep closing out this season? That's what I want to know. So you guys out in TV land, please let us know what you think. And if you are watching this right now, either on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch live, because we are broadcasting live, thank you very much. Also, if you are listening to us right now over on the Believe Podcast Network, thank you very much. And if you haven't joined us, make sure that you go anywhere that you listen to sports podcasts and look up 100 Yards of Football. Here's what we look like over on Spotify. And over on Apple Podcast, we've got our lineup as well. So every single week, we put up brand new shows all week long that will give you the best information about upcoming game previews, upcoming Legends videos, and more. If you asked Judy Stout, she says Tennessee 0, Vandy 0. Vandy will cancel the game.
Who knows this season?
You might just be exactly.
You might be right.
So thank you so much for that comment. Anybody else want to throw any other scores in there before we go? Please just throw them in there. But also make sure you go and listen to our podcast, 100 Yards of Football. We're so proud to be on the Believe Podcast Network and to bring you these games every week. I'm a huge Vols fan, so we always cover the Vols, win, lose, or draw within our show. And we're based out of Atlanta, Georgia, so we always cover Georgia really well. We cover teams all over with player previews. When the draft starts coming around, you're going to love our show. We do in-depth previews of the players. We talk about the teams. We talk about their prospects. And we give you a lot of really valuable information, not just about college teams, but about players coming out of high school into college and about college players who are heading towards the NFL. So for our entire team, I'm Jeremiah Long, and this is Logan Landers, the man himself, our host with the most. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys a little bit later in the week. See ya.